ChatGPT, AI machines,
satellite, engine ignition,
click here,
and liftoff.
Hey, it's Dina. The Click Here team is taking a short breather, just long enough to get ahead on reporting for 2026. And when we come back in the new year, we've got a little surprise waiting for you. More on that soon. For now, we wanted to share a story from last summer, one we're especially proud of. It's from our Erased series, and it's an investigation into how China is trying to extinguish Uyghur culture. One law, one app, one person, one website at a time. And we look at the unlikely rebels trying to stop it. Here's the story. So tell me how you guys got involved. The bat phone went off. What happened? How did you guys know?
It did.
Do you guys have a bat phone?
Well, it's very similar to a bat phone.
From Recorded Future News and PRX, I'm Dina Temple-Raston. And this is Click Here's Mic Drop, an extended cut of an interview we think you'll enjoy. We're continuing our series on authoritarianism, and specifically the many ways Beijing authorities have worked to erase Uyghur culture, and how that might affect the rest of us, too. So today we're talking to Rebecca Brown, a senior researcher at the Citizen Lab, a digital rights watchdog at the University of Toronto. And not so long ago, she and her team made a chilling discovery: that China isn't just spying on Uyghurs at home, but anywhere they are in the world. We look at how China is doing it, and the ways in which researchers like Rebecca are trying to stop them. Stay with us. I'm Dina Temple-Raston, and this is Click Here's Mic Drop. These days, about 12 million Uyghurs live in Xinjiang, a region in China's far northwest. But they've lived in Central Asia for thousands of years. They've outlasted emperors, endured dynasties like the Shang, the Tang, and the Ming. But Rebecca Brown says they've never quite bowed to Beijing.
They were very far away from Beijing, kind of very remote. They always had their own identity and their own culture, and they did not want to be part of the centralized system.
They're Muslims. They speak their own language. All of which is to say, Uyghurs are outliers. And for much of the last century, that was tolerated. Until 2013.
Delegates cast their ballots for China's next president. Now officially one of the most powerful men in the world, Xi Jinping.
When Chinese leader Xi Jinping took power, he launched what he called a people's war on what they deemed as separatism. Minorities like the Uyghurs found themselves in the crosshairs.
China really views any pushback to the narrative of the Chinese Communist Party as a threat.
Beijing flooded Xinjiang with police. They banned Ramadan celebrations. They arrested more than 1 million people and put them in camps, calling it re-education. But this wasn't just old-school authoritarianism. This time, they're also wielding modern tools for oppression, things like smartphones and spyware.
In modern times, your phone is with you almost all the time. It is like your digital fingerprints, everything you do, everywhere you go. If someone has access to that, they know probably more about you than your closest friends and family members.
Among other things, China rolled out a special app and made it mandatory to download.
They said it was for safety, but would allow the authorities access to information on your phone about what you're doing and your location and where you are. It was kind of a campaign saying you need to install this needs to be on your phone, and then, checkpoints and random checks to make sure that it was installed.
And then they went further. QR codes outside homes, GPS trackers in cars. They began surveilling Wi-Fi, the kind of surveillance you can do on a territory that you control. But then the Chinese government spread their surveillance web beyond their own borders, and they started targeting Uyghurs abroad.
The next extension of surveillance is not just people within the control, but people who've left or maybe who have family. They want to find out who they're talking to. How is information getting in and out?
Because it wasn't just about controlling how people live their lives.
They wanted it to be seen as, oh no, we're all one nation and we're bettering the population and this is voluntary and everyone's happy here. And so whenever information would get out that countered that narrative, they wanted to know how it was getting out and to whom.
Even Uyghurs who've managed to flee the country aren't safe. More than 500,000 Uyghurs live outside China today. Some joined advocacy groups like the World Uyghur Congress. But exile doesn't necessarily mean escape. Even oceans away, Beijing's reach can be uncanny.
There were reports of different campaigns that would actually find flaws in operating systems of both iPhones and Androids in order to remotely install spyware on phones.
And the entry point? Not state-run news, not political pamphlets, cultural lifelines turned into weapons.
It was targeting websites that Uyghurs would traditionally visit.
Websites hosting Qurans, Uyghur dictionaries, poetry archives, harmless on the surface until you clicked.
An app that you would install on your phone because, it's of interest and it would be beneficial and it's helpful, especially if you're living overseas, if you're, one of these communities living in exile and you're trying to stay connected to your culture.
But you'd be doing the opposite. You'd be inviting surveillance into your life. What they didn't know is that they were letting the Chinese government just waltz into their pockets as well, and that's the strategy. Undermine the tools meant to preserve Uyghur identity.
There's a lot that can be discovered about you by having that type of access, more than just being able to see via surveillance cameras where people are or just knowing which house you live in. There's this level of information about a person's life by having access to their information on a computer or on a phone.
This kind of attack serves a dual purpose.
This type of attack is especially harmful because not only is it feeding into this surveillance engine, but it is supporting kind of that goal of erasure. Because now, once this comes to light, people can be very afraid of these tools that can be used to help maintain their cultural identity and maintain their language, because they don't know, is this being weaponized or is this going to harm me or can I trust this?
This isn't just conjecture. A few months ago, in March of this year, a senior member of the World Uyghur Congress received an email. The message claimed to be from an ally, someone offering help, a fellow activist who said a developer had created a new tool, something meant to help Uyghurs in exile write and preserve their language. The program was called UyghurEdit++, a word processor designed to help people type in Uyghur, with a built-in spell check.
And so this was meant to be perfect. It's tailor-made. It can make sure you've spelled things correctly and that you can write, exactly as they want to when you're not trying.
The person reaching out said they needed someone to test it.
And this email said, hey, we have this piece of software that was created by an anonymous developer who wants to help the Uyghur community. It's a language tool, but we don't know how to test it. Can you please, test it and tell us, is this helpful so we can share and help the community?
Attached was a link to a Google Drive folder, and inside, a free download. But then, something strange happened.
They got these Google notifications saying you've been targeted by a government-backed attack.
You've been targeted by a government-backed attacker. Imagine reading that line after clicking a link, thinking you were helping your community. The activists didn't hesitate. They picked up the phone, that bat phone, and called Citizen Lab.
We got multiple calls all at once saying, hey, something big is going on. What should we do? What does this mean? And when something like that happens, we jump into action.
At face value, the request appeared legit. UyghurEdit++ is a real program, used and trusted by Uyghur speakers around the world. But when they looked closer, they realized the email was suspicious. The sender claimed to be from a group that regularly worked with the World Uyghur Congress, but when they looked closer...
It was sent from not the official email. It was sent from another Gmail address that was trying to impersonate someone.
The file was sent to one of Rebecca's colleagues, someone who specialized in the kind of code UyghurEdit++ was written in, and he started looking for more clues.
He kind of knew instantly what to look for, and I think he was able to figure it out in a matter of minutes. Like, oh, okay, I know what this is. I know what we need to look for.
What they found was a Trojan horse. When we come back, we'll explain how it worked. Stay with us. The download appeared to be safe on the surface, but once opened, it triggered a sequence of malware installations. The first wave included reconnaissance.
To confirm that you're on the right computer, look for the username and the geography and confirm that everything is right.
Once the malware confirmed it was inside the intended target's device, a second wave of attacks began.
A more capable type of malware that would be able to do things like monitor keystrokes and steal files and do a lot of that real-time monitoring of what was going on the laptop as well.
Had the activists gone all the way through with the installation, the hackers would have essentially owned their computer.
If they had run it on the computer, if they had taken this email at its word that, oh, we're trying to help the community, it would have ended up giving access to their computer to the Chinese government.
It would have handed the Chinese government a live feed of everything they typed. They reached out to Raidat Kenji, the developer of UyghurEdit++, to let him know his program was being hijacked, and he said he was dumbstruck by the breach.
When
I first heard this news, I was very shocked because I thought I had accidentally put a virus myself into this program. But after hearing the explanation from the staff at the Citizen Lab, I heard that this Uyghur application I made was free of any problems.
This is Raidat. And the thing was, he hadn't really been hacked exactly. Instead, his work had just been exploited.
When I released
UyghurEdit++, I also released its source code. Therefore, it was easy to damage the software with this malware. It was filled with malicious software, including malware that stole information from Uyghur organizations and Uyghur activists. I cursed the ones responsible for that.
What Rebecca and her colleagues at the Citizen Lab uncovered wasn't technically sophisticated. It was blunt, almost sloppy. But that didn't matter, because the power of the attack wasn't in its code, it was in the sophistication of their approach. The attackers had taken their time. They'd built fake websites, they'd registered fake domains, and faked an entire identity, all to make a malicious file look like a gift.
Almost a year ago, they had started setting up infrastructure also to try and impersonate this developer. They created domains in his name. There was just a lot of thought and intentionality behind this attack that you don't always see.
You go to all this trouble because if the code doesn't catch you, the fear just might. If even a legitimate cultural tool like UyghurEdit++ can be weaponized, then it would make people wonder, what's safe?
To erase the Uyghur identity and to steal information about the Uyghurs. No one else does it except the spies of the Chinese Communist Party. This is simply a common tool.
So Raidat went back online and posted a message. If you want to access UyghurEdit++, download it straight from GitHub. No shortcuts, no cloud folders, no mystery links.
하면 UyghurEdit네 GitHub 닦았댐 아스코드 오죠.
I uploaded UyghurEdit on GitHub. Its source code is open for everyone to benefit from and view. There is no hidden malware in what I've shared.
He's doing what he can to try to restore people's trust, to encourage them to keep using tools that keep Uyghurs around the world still connected to their culture, their language, and to each other. But the threat isn't going away.
People want to think that these digital assets, that if it is outside of China, that it's safe and that they can maintain the history and the culture and the language. But more and more we're seeing that China is still trying to reach outside their borders in order to have that control. So that way they can try for that complete erasure.
Because this is what erasure looks like now. It doesn't always come with police raids or prison camps. Sometimes it arrives in your inbox wrapped in good intentions, kind of whispering, don't trust the things that connect you to your culture.
What I'm hoping is that we won't see that fear and that we won't see people give into it and that we'll see almost a pushback and maybe even an increase in creation of tools.
Rebecca wants Uyghurs to keep building, to keep sharing, to keep fighting for their language and their history, digitally and otherwise. From Recorded Future News and PRX, this has been Click Here's Mic Drop. It was written and produced by Sean Powers, Lucas Riley, Megan Dietrich, Zach Hirsch, Erica Gaida, and me, Dina Temple-Raston. It was edited by Karen Duffin. Special thanks today to Esma Memtimim and Arslan Hidayat. You can hear more from our series searching for Click Here Erased, wherever you get your podcasts. We'll be back on Tuesday with another episode of Click Here. Have a great weekend.